Hey everyone, how's it going? Um, let's see. There we go. Got a little bit of play-in music here. Hello, how's it going? My name is Lynn. In case it's your first time catching my live stream, you have stumbled across my weekly Monday catch-up on Life with Lynn. Well, this used to be... Ooh, let's go live on Facebook too. Sorry, we're live on YouTube and now we're coming into live on Facebook. This live stream has gone everywhere from our infertility journey to our journey becoming caregivers, to youth in care, as they prefer to be called, rather than foster parents. But the terms are interchangeable. We are licensed as foster parents. And today I'm going to just chat about our experience with a few things. The big thing being negotiations. Oh my goodness. I'm going to pull up my comments while everybody gets settled in. I know we started a little bit late here, but if you're watching, feel free to say hi. Let me know you're out there. And then I'm going to be able to pull your comments up on screen in just a moment. But while I'm getting started, though, I'd love to hear, what have you been up to? What'd you do this weekend? I'll let this music play while I get everything sorted over here. Whew. There we go. For Facebook, comments are on. YouTube. And there we go. Now, I am a little tired. And a lot of that has to do with us being away for the weekend and having one of those, holiday weekend kind of schedules where you go to bed later, wake up later, and then you got to figure it out when you go back to work. On top of that, last night, the kids didn't have school today, so they were up a little bit later last night too. And they kept me up. All right, I think we got this. Ooh, Amy, 84th birthday. Wow. Happy birthday to your dad. That's awesome. What a fun birthday to celebrate. 84 years is quite an accomplishment. Hopefully many more to come. Okay, I'm going to bring our music down. Let's kick this show off. Okay, so here's what we're going to chat about today first. I want to just say we are officially, 2.5 weeks into our current youth in care placement. We have a 12 and 13-year-old, 12-year-old and 13-year-old in the house. And yep, this is outside of our normal age range that we had originally planned for, but we're doing okay. I'm still alive, right? I laugh, but seriously, it's impressive. They're not dangerous. It's just a lot going on because we've never really been in close contact with this species. By species, I mean preteen and teenager. Other than when we were that age ourselves. And trust me, we've been doing a lot of reflecting on what we were like when we were that age. So it helps us give a little bit of, grace, wiggle room, freedom, to the kids to make mistakes just because we had that same, freedom when we were their age. So we're trying to keep that in mind as we go through this. So hello, Marcus. Hello, Mom. Thanks for saying hi. Hi, Dad. Thanks for watching, guys. Ooh. And Kim. Yeah. You are still alive and you lost only 1 of 3. Very funny, Marcus. Guys, to be fair, yes, there were 3, but one of them was predetermined to be living in another house only after, a short amount of time that they were temporarily staying with us. But Marcus is just poking fun, which I appreciate. Okay, so this weekend I really enjoyed the time away from the kids to just kind of reset. So we had them for almost 2 full weeks, and then we had told the caseworker when we took the kids that we had this trip planned. This is a very, very close friend of ours' wedding that was out of town. So we wanted to make sure that wouldn't be an issue, and they said no, it wouldn't, and it really wasn't. They have a family member that they were able to stay with that I connected with ahead of time, and I'm actually really happy I connected with her again today, and she wanted to make sure that the kids came home okay, and it was just very sweet, and we caught up a lot, and I was very thankful for the follow-up call. I wasn't sure, I wanted to reach out to her and say thanks, and how did it go first, but she beat me to, and I was thankful, very thankful. And then she also connected me with another family member who I had a few questions for regarding some hairdo ideas and help. So I really I like how I'm connecting with the family and we're supporting each other and we're here for the kids. And that is a great place to be. You don't always hear about that in these kinds of situations. So I'm very thankful. There are things that aren't going perfect. And I, in therapy, mentioned this as my therapist has been working with me on a long time on trying not to be a perfectionist. It's something that I like, if I get wound, very zeroed in on like trying to make something perfect. A lot of times this happens when I'm doing a craft, right? Like I want it to be just right. I want to be the best at something that I can be. I say aim for this like perfectionism. It's never how I really thought of it, but it's been brought to my attention and it's something we're working on. I need to allow myself to, make mistakes and not be perfect. So it's kind of a triggering thing when I say, well, we're not doing perfect. And he's like, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing perfect. I'm like, but we could be doing better. So I'm working on this. Hopefully I didn't lose you on any of that. I hope that makes sense. Maybe you can relate to it a little bit too. It's a tricky, I don't know, balance, right? We want to do the best that we can at things, but we also need to allow ourselves not to be perfect. So we've had we're testing out what's working with the kids. So I'm going to kind of get to the theme of our what I titled today's episode as is does parenting make us a better negotiator? And here's why I say, is this parenting like all ages? Like it's like you say, hey, it's time to go to bed, and they go, oh, I don't want to go to bed. And so you say, well, if you go to bed, if you go to bed, you can have this reward. It's a good thing. Try to do the reward system. Or maybe you do the other negotiation, which is, well, if you don't go to bed now, you can't have blah, blah, blah. Or you go the other route, go, it's time for bed. I said so, and hope that carries some weight, which right now I really don't feel like I have that like authority with just the because I said so. I don't know if that's earned. I don't know if that comes with time. I don't know if that's something that like there's an algorithm and that'll just magically happen. But right now, the because I told you so doesn't seem to be the majority of negotiations. So what we've been dealing with is, yes, a lot of the bedtime stuff. And it's been pretty good, but sometimes not. And you know what, now when it comes to bedtime, I'm fearful because I don't know which of those nights it's going to be, right? There aren't any telltale signs throughout the day that are like, oh, this is going to be one of those nights that they're going to be so tired that they go to bed. But we are finding what works. So this kind of goes back to that, like, it's not always going to be perfect, but we can continue to try and get better at it. And I think, I don't know. Oh, I have to cross my legs here. I got to switch positions. Sorry. You don't, I feel like it's almost like manipulation at some point where you're like, oh, okay, now I know, if I take this away, that's how I get them to do what I want them to do. But is that part of parenting? Like, is that part of how it works? I don't know. I'm figuring this out and I would love your input. Let me know any tips you have in this realm of like, hey, parents are the boss. Kids need to do it, what they're told. And where do you let up? Like, when do you cave? And when do you not cave? Like, because I feel like if you cave, then you're going to keep caving, and it's very hard. So we've been trying very hard not to do like punishments, right? Because I don't want to have to fulfill a punishment that I didn't mean to say. So I've been very careful not to do that. Though, small things like, all right, well, if you don't get off your phone, then we'll basically, we'll turn off the Wi-Fi so you can't have it. And I think that's been the extent of like, taking it into our own hands. So, Marcus, this is a fun suggestion. So Marcus is saying, try to tell them they can't go to bed. Reverse psychology. I hadn't even thought of this one yet. Reverse psychology. Maybe I should make a list of like, okay, that one didn't work. Next on the list is reverse psychology. Let me try this. Okay, you guys, let's see how late you can actually stay up. But you know what I fear? They will stay up and they'll stay downstairs on the couch, which is mine and Bert's sanctuary, for like half an hour to 45 minutes after they go to bed, right? Yesterday they were saying, can we sleep here in the living room? And I'm like, no, you cannot. Why? Because this is a communal space, aka it's mine and Bert's space after you go to bed. It's and they respect that, and it's yeah, it's a lot of why, why can't we, why do we have to? And you have to be ready to explain, but in a way that's like truthful, but also sometimes you don't want to say the truthful part, which is also like, then you tell them a semi-truth part, but you're leaving like the real truth out. For example, the kids are leaving for teen club right now, and they're like, can we just drive? Our legs are tired. And guys, it's like a 10-15 minute walk from our house. We're really trying to get them to be active, right? Like, it's nice. It's a beautiful night for walking. And I don't know, we just like, no, we're going to walk. And they're like, oh, why? And we're like, and Bert's like, well, didn't you want ice cream? And they're like, yeah, well, there's no parking at the ice cream place. So how about this? We can drive, but then you don't get ice cream. So this is a negotiation that I'm talking about, right? Well, why can't we have both? Well, I just explained why. So, the whys in the negotiation, it feels like it's never ending, and it's tiring a little bit. Anyway, and Kim, I'd love your perspective if you're watching as a teacher. Like, how much of teaching, like, are you negotiating with kids, or do they respect you as an authority? Like, any tips on how to get that? Like, I don't know, maybe that's where the teacher voice comes from, that's how you do it. I need a teacher voice. Teacher voice training. Sign me up. Seriously. My dad's saying I can blame him a little bit for the perfectionism. So thanks a lot, Dad. And Mom is saying, I'm the parent and I said so. And I'm hearing it in your voice, actually, Mom, right now, from my youth. So yeah. Yep. I will try that line. We'll see if that works. Yeah. And okay. So, and Dad's saying here, it's for all ages, the negotiation part, I think, but from very young kids don't understand the idea of options and consequences. And even as they get older, like these consequences that as adults, we understand, that it still doesn't make sense. Like, put your laundry away right after it's clean and it's folded, so that way you can find what you need and put your dirty clothes in the hamper. Like it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to put your clothes away. And it drives me crazy because I just want to be like, egging, like nagging them until they put their clothes away. But I'm like, no, I did this too. I had clothes all over my bedroom floor growing up. Like, let them learn this. Like this will happen naturally. And if I'm constantly nagging them, I'm not going to be able to like enforce the things that really matter. So I'm like, those are the ones I'm like, nope, let it go. Did more kids ever come to the teen club last week? Nope, it was just the two of them. But they had a great time with Coach Gill and played basketball and did crafts. They came home with some stuff that they like cut out of a magazine and glued together and stuff, and they were quite proud and excited about it. And Coach Gill said, hey, if you have any friends, you can bring them for free. So they tried asking some friends, I guess, but none of them wanted to come this week, but they're still going anyway, which is awesome. So I'm really happy that they're like not, turned off by the idea. It might just be the two of them again. But I think it's like nice. They're going to go just be in a different space. They've been here at home all day. Yeah. I will say we have found a few things that worked. And I'll get to these comments in just a moment. I see Kelly and Kim has that one in. We found that allowance works. So we have given them an allowance that is actually part of the budget that we get from DCFS. Actually, when you become a foster parent, there's actually a guidebook, and it spells out how much of it's supposed to be allotted for allowance, clothing, and like room and board, basically. And so the allowance at their age is $26 every 2 weeks. So actually every 4 weeks it's $52. But we give it to them to seem like a more manageable and amount of time, $26 every 2 weeks. However, of course that's what the state mandates as the minimum. But Bert and I have found, like, that's fine. That's what they get. But what if we can give them opportunities to earn more? So today he let the 12-year-old mow the lawn, and the 13-year-old swept and mopped the floors, which is awesome. And Bert's like, got it. This is the best $20 I ever spent. So they each earn $10 doing those chores, and they're so excited, because now they have that freedom to purchase something that they want. So if we say no, then they say, well, I'm going to use my money, and they have that right, which is awesome. Okay, so going back to negotiations, that's why the whys in negotiating starts at age 2. But what I wouldn't give to be able to speak to kids that actually have reasoning. Yeah. Oh, because the kids at 2 years old don't have reasoning. Yes. But the thing is, even at the age where they have reasoning capabilities, they also have the ability to give you silent treatment, and they also know that drives you crazy. So you have to be, you're kind of giving up one with the other too. It's like they get more clever. But true. Like, even if they give you the silent treatment, they still have to hear you. They can't completely shut you out. So at some point, if you try enough things, it should eventually work, right? I don't know. It's what happened to the standoff of last week. Did that happen last week? Oh my God, the days are blurring together. We had a standoff that lasted quite a while because Bert and I are still not, we're doing great at not raising our voice with the kids, showing a lot of patience, calmness, giving space, when things seem like, hey, nobody's really making progress here on how we're communicating with each other. So we're just going to take a step back. We're going to come back and revisit. And, when a child's not doing what you ask them to do, and Bert and I are also not going to physically move them to the place where we're asking them to go. So we have to enter into a real debate late at night. And that's how it goes. And we won. We won. But I'm tired from it. So my sister, who's a teacher, she says, I have to earn the authority every class. Basically, if I tell them a punishment or consequence, I have to follow through, or they will try the negotiation or testing the limits. Yeah, exactly. So I have a success story to share with you. We set up this contract with the kids around their devices, because the very first time we said, okay, no devices in your bedroom before on school nights, that did not go over well. So the next night we decided, let's draw up a contract that says these are the rules around your personal electronic devices around bedtime hours. And if you break any of them, these are the consequences. We made those rules and we made those consequences together, and we all signed it. It worked. Last night, I was awoken multiple times by loud conversations on the phone, and I had to get out of bed and remind the youth in care to please lower their voice. And eventually, I either fell asleep so hard I didn't hear it anymore, or, they finally did. I mean, the second time I got up was at 2 a.m. to give you an idea of this was an extreme case that has not happened before. Now, I was able to go to that contract in the morning, and I told Bert, because I went to work today. Everyone else had the day off for Indigenous Peoples Day. And I wrote to Bert, and I'm like, hey, we have to use the contract because this happened last night. Bert slept through the whole thing. He had no idea that happened. And he's like, okay. And he was the one that broke the news, like, hey, this is the consequence. You broke the rules last night. And the argument, it started, was, oh, those rules don't apply to me. Oh, yeah? Why? Yeah. And they absolutely do apply. And you broke the rules, and there's this consequence. And they said, okay, you're right. So the phone is going to be in a timeout for tonight. They have to leave it downstairs. They don't get it in their room. I feel like this was a success, right? We made the rules were broken, and then we are carrying out the consequence the next day. There was no argument to be had at night. There was I was woken up, which was kind of the disturbance, but now there's a consequence for that. So hopefully it doesn't happen again tonight. I'm proud of this, and I appreciate you listening to this long story about it. But I feel like it's a success story. It's a success parenting story. Okay, so of course, teaching has different consequence choices than parents. Yes, though Kim, and yes, you're working with a totally different set of resources and stuff being in a school setting. We did have a incident at school last week. By we, I mean our youth and care, and we will be actually going to meet with a teacher tomorrow and our youth and care during school hours to have a not a negotiation, we're a rebuilding session, which I think is absolutely fantastic that the teacher is taking time to give our student this attention, which is instead of just suspension and that's it, we're not talking about it. It is, hey, as a teacher, you hurt me, which I can't get into the details, but I respect this, and I think it's fantastic that we're involved in it. I spent a lot of time on the phone with the teacher talking about what happened, and we emailed back and forth a couple times too, and then we had a really long conversation with our youth and care about what happened, and talking to them about what they could have done different, and we didn't just stop at like, hey, they shouldn't have done that action that caused this incident. But thought about what led up to that incident in the first place. And what I mean is, sometimes in what we're learning in our training on Tuesdays is, our minds, the way that they work, this whole, fight and flight is now added on with freeze, and then a new one, which we just learned last week, which is flock. All these F words. And this is what happens when our mind gets to a place where we're not actually thinking anymore, we're reacting, right? So something has triggered us in a way that we are either going to run away, we're going to freeze, we're going to get aggressive, or we're going to look around to our surroundings and see if someone else one of our peers is giving us a signal on what to do. That's the flock. We just learned this last week. So in this whatever happened moment at school, one of those F's happened, right? And that means the brain wasn't thinking clearly. You're not in that like reasoning state of mind. So I said, what led up to that? And she was able to get there. She was able to say, oh yeah, there were some words exchanged earlier in the day that, I shouldn't have said those things, and I shouldn't have engaged in, those conversations. I was so proud, it was not shaming for the action, the reaction. It was talking about how to try and prevent it in the future, and also giving her the grace, like you don't learn this overnight, but if we can point it out and slowly work on this and point back to it if it ever does happen again, there will be a pattern that we can learn from. Oh my gosh. Oh, what a simple thing. I can get smelly sticker. Kim, where do those end up though? Do those get stuck to things they shouldn't? That's what I'm worried about. Unless they're removable. I'm just wondering, where do those get stuck? I found gum not in the garbage can. I was not happy about that. Then they told me that they've been swallowing their gum all their lives. And I actually had to Google if that really stays in your stomach for 7 years, which it could, but it doesn't. It actually gets passed. But if a large amount of gum builds up in your stomach, you can have problems. So anyway, yes. So they're earning their own allowance. They can now buy their own ice cream if they want to, because ice cream is expensive. Did you know that? If a party of 4 goes out for ice cream, I mean, that's at least a $25 visit, if not more. That's crazy. So success. Thank you guys for celebrating this parent, success story with me. Hey, Dad, you're going to have to help me because I don't know what I referenced that you're asking me. Are you hiding it downstairs? Might they sneak down and get it after you're asleep? Oh, the phone. Well, since Bert and I are the first ones up in the morning, the first ones downstairs, I mean, she'd have to wake up before us and put it back downstairs. So I would say no, because also there's that, after they go to bed, that 30-minute to 45-minute time where Bert and I are occupying the first floor. So it'll be what Bert and I have repeated to each other is, when we're trying to make decisions on what we're going to allow and not allow, is we have to trust them until they give us a reason not to. So like we have not been checking, we don't ask to see what they're texting. We don't necessarily say, like, who are you talking to? I have asked a few times, she's, said, can I get together with my friends? And I said, well, I would need to talk to their parents first. And it's interesting how those conversations taper off rather than, okay, here's the phone number to call their mom, or, I'll connect you right now. It's kind of like, that's too much effort. Or I don't know if my friend's mom would, do that. I don't know what the kind of fall off is, but it's happened a few times and it's very interesting. Okay, more info on these smelly stickers. Mostly on their hands, sometimes on their face and hats. I have a few that stick them on their notebooks. Okay, so far no stickers have ended up on furniture. That's good to know. I think Bert and I, what were we thinking? That we were going to give them something that they could kind of collect. I can't remember what it is now off the top of my head. But if you have any ideas, let me know other than stickers. But I do, like, here's something interesting. Let me know if you have any ideas for this. So the boy wants a video game, and it's more expensive, right? Or an unlocked part of a video game. I'm not 100% clear on which game that is, or what he's unlocking, but it costs more than his allowance. And then the girl, I want to take her to get her hair done, which is going to be, it'll be expensive. It'll be around, could be around $200. And, it's, I know those are two different things. Like one is like, how you look and everything. The other one is something you play with. But I'm wondering, is there something that we can do to use this as like a reward for something good? And if I want her to get her hair done, like say Wednesday this week, like how can I use that this week, as the thing that we're doing, and have that kind of last a longer time? I don't know. It's not like I can be like, oh, you broke the rules, I'm taking your hair out. Like it's a tough thing to, I'm not sure how to do that. I see it as a bonding thing, but I'm also seeing like, I don't know, the budget doesn't cover this, and it's very like, I don't know if I should be like, all right, we're going to do this, and then your next few allowances are going to go towards this. I don't know. I'm at a loss with this one. I have to talk to Bert about it. And the video game thing, he's like, can I have the game now and then you keep my allowance? Like he basically asked Bert for a, forward on, or is it a forward? Yeah, I think on his, a payday loan, basically. And what Bert and I, I said, well, maybe. And then Bert goes, I think we really need to encourage them to try and save up the money that they're making. And I agree with him. I think that there's something super important to learn there. We're thinking about giving them, like their own little, something like a piggy bank, something that they can actually have in their room that has a key that they can lock and, make it so that they have to think about it before they get it. Remember when I was talking about healthy eating, and we'd have these suggestions on like, if you don't want to have, cake all the time, if you want to limit how much cake you're making, like don't buy a cake from the store, don't buy cupcakes from the store, but buy the mix. So that way, if you really want cupcakes, you actually have to go through all the steps of actually making the cupcakes. So we were thinking like something similar, like make the money so that you actually have to think about how to get it. Yeah. Advance. So Amy's saying, yeah, give them the advance. Okay. Let them have an investment allowance in it. They have to save. Yeah. Yeah. And the hair is very different from the video game. It's yeah. Buy the kale, not the cupcakes, says Marcus. Exactly. Yeah. And maybe she pays for part of the hair instead of all of it. Yeah. It's tough, these things, and I want to just give them everything. And it was even more uncomfortable this morning because one of them was asking, how much do you make at your job? And I was like, I don't, he's like $1,000. And I go, well, I get paid like, a salary for over a year. And he goes, what's that mean? And I had to try and explain what a salary was. And I'm like, I have to go to work, so I'm trying to do this quickly. And he's like, do you make more than $5,000? I'm like, yeah, I make more than $20,000. And I'm like, oh my God, when is this going to stop? I'll tell you what, it's between these amounts. And he's like, whoa. And I'm like, but wait, how do I tell them that there's taxes and mortgage and all the other things? Like, that's not just money that we have to spend on video games, you know? Yeah. So it's money is I think a very big motivator right now with these ones, because they're getting an allowance. They're able to buy things that they want. They understand kind of where we're drawing the line with things. But I'm very proud of them because, yeah, they earned it today and they were excited about it. And I think that that's a great thing. They stayed with a family member while Bert and I were out of town. And when we came back and they came into the house, so we were here for maybe an hour and a half before they got back. We straightened up everything real quick because when we left, you know, when everyone left the house on Thursday morning, the house was not like put together, right? So Bert and I like, okay, an hour and a half, let's put the house back together. We did, and it looked great. So when they came in, he made a comment like, it feels like the first time we came here. And I was like, I don't know, you know, is that because of the house being put together, or does it just feel weird, you know, coming back to this still kind of like unknown place to them, which has become home, that also feels weird to call it to them, like, hey guys, are you happy to be home? And I'm like, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, you know, because this is probably not what they are thinking home is, you know. It's the house they live in right now. Anyway, yeah, I think that, yeah, talking about a budget is a great idea. I think that's such a great idea. And maybe if it doesn't have to be the whole family budget, but maybe, and we could even talk about what they were asking, you know, that the state gives us money. And we said, yes, we're not going to lie to them about that. And I would be happy to even show them exactly what the state gives us to show them, you know, we're paying more than the state gives us to have you here. Because we've definitely already done that. And not that would be like hey, you better, you know, like you better appreciate us, you know, but to show them that we're not here to make money off of having them here. Because I think that that's a popular misconception in this, you know, fostering world. Yeah, this is a great idea too. Sit them down and explain expenses in big round numbers or use play money. Coincidentally, I have some prop money. Look at this, guys, right here. It's like we planned this. This is a great idea. And I think these come in all sorts of bills, sizes and stuff like that. So maybe that'll be a lesson that we can kind of, we'll talk out. This is great. Excellent suggestions, everyone. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, so I think, you know, as I'm going to try and wrap this up here because otherwise I'll just keep talking forever because I feel like there's always something to just think about and figure out with these guys. And I'm on call and I'm getting a call, so I have to get going. But I just want to say, like, again, parents out there, if you've been through this whole negotiating thing, like, tell me your wins, your losses, you know, where to give up, what to do. Feel free to leave comments on this video. And, you know, or if you just kind of agreed with all this, feel free to give the video a like. And we'll catch up next week and talk a little bit more about it and see what other fun, you know, parenting things we can reveal. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging. We are doing fine, and I really appreciate your continued support here. Thank you so much for hanging, and I will see you guys next Monday. Bye.
You knocked me down, swept my feet off the ground, left me on the floor. Hard to resist, got me looking like this, like no